record. I've got myself on spotlight though, so no one else should be in the recording. Cool. So we're going to start in child's pose. If you do have some cushions or some pillows handy, it'd be really nice to get yourself really comfy here. So you can pop one kind of on your heels to sit back on, and then have one for your head. You can grab even a stack and a blanket here, and then just lower yourself down to the mat. And just start to settle in. And you can choose here if you bring your knees wide into a wide-legged child's pose, or you can have them together into a narrow one, whatever feels most comfortable for you today. And when you get there, just start to take some really deep breaths. Maybe sighing back out through the mouth. And just letting today go. Letting go of any tension or any stress or any busyness that you've had throughout the day. And just see if you can really melt your heart down to the ground. Maybe forehead comes to the mat or to the cushion. You might want to rock from side to side. Taking one more deep breath here, and on your next inhale, just slowly start to pad up the hands, moving them up to meet your knees, maybe putting the cushions aside if you're using them, and just come to sit back down on your heels. If this hurts your knees or your ankles at all, again, feel free to grab a cushion, just pad that out. And then bringing one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart. Just start to take some deep breaths again. And see if you can notice your belly rising and your chest rising as you inhale and falling as you exhale. And as you start to notice this, maybe you start to notice your breath deepening and becoming longer. Or maybe it stays the same, and that's okay too. But as you begin to notice your breath, see if you can just let go of today so far and let go of anything you have on your to-do list. And then on your next inhale, coming forward onto all fours, your hands will be underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And just start to take a wriggle from side to side. Continuing with that deep, slow breath in and exhale back out. And on your next inhale, start to drop your belly and lift your gaze. And start to move through some cat-cows as you breathe out, rounding the spine, moving chin to chest. Breathing in, dropping belly, lifting gaze. Exhaling, rounding the spine, dropping chin to chest, pushing away from the floor. See if you can move through these in your own time, with your own breath, at your own pace. Making the breaths as small or as big as you like. As deep or as shallow as you like. And then maybe taking some free movement here. So you might want to move from side to side, maybe looking over your shoulder at your ankle behind you. Maybe moving in a figure of 8, Or you might want to even come back into child's pose and then forward into an upward facing dog. Whatever your body is calling for today, see if you can just tune in and listen to what it's needing. And if you just want to stick to the cat-cows, then absolutely do that. And then we'll find stillness again on all fours in the center. Maybe moving the hands slightly in front, pull it behind, and pushing your heart down to the earth or come down into puppy pose. So here you want to be careful not to flare the ribs. You're not trying to arch your back, you're trying to keep a straight, lengthened spine, and just melting the heart down to the earth. And only go as far as feels comfortable for you. Maybe the elbows come to the mat, maybe the forehead comes to the mat. If your forehead comes to the earth, you just rock from side to side, giving yourself a little forehead massage. Continuing to breathe deeply here. And on your next inhale, lifting your head, lifting your chin, lifting your gaze towards the hands and slowly lowering down onto your belly. Bringing your hands slightly off the mat, slightly in front of you. We're going to take an oscillating cobra here. So breathing in, pressing through the feet, lifting through the spine, lifting the gaze, and breathing out, coming back down to the floor. Breathing in, pushing into the earth with your lower body, lifting up, and breathing out, coming back down. Taking one more like this, breathing in, breathing out. And bringing your hands in line with your ribs, tucking under your toes, pushing back into all fours, and then coming up into the downward facing dog. We're not going to be here for long. We're just pedaling through the feet. And here you want to prioritize a straight spine again, or a lengthened spine. So if you need to bend your knees to get there, that's absolutely fine. You don't need your heels on the floor. And over time, you can begin to work towards pushing those heels down and straightening the legs. Maybe shaking the head yes, nodding, shaking the head no. And then bending the knees generously, looking between the hands, and then step, hop, or walk your feet to meet your hands at the front of the mat, forward fold. Again, shaking the head no, nodding the head yes, just letting go of any tension that's built up in the neck. Maybe grabbing hold of opposite elbows and just swaying from side to side. And again, here you can have a really generous bend in your legs. In fact, if we all just bend our legs really generously, it can feel really nice just to release the lower spine and let the head hang loose. Sometimes we get caught up when we're practicing yoga and trying to be the bendiest and the stretchiest and having the straightest lines, but actually we should be focusing on what feels good for our body, and sometimes that's just letting it all hang loose. Taking a deep breath here and sighing it out. And then if your legs aren't bent already, bending them, dropping the hands, and then slowly rolling up. Keeping the roll up as slowly as you possibly can. And when you get to standing, taking some rolls through the shoulders. One way, and then going back the other way. And then looking down at your toes, picking up your toes so that they're not on the floor, and then putting each toe back down onto the ground one by one so that they're nice and spread out, nice and even, nice and grounded. You might want to even sway side to side, back and forth, just to find where your center is. And when you found it, see if you could just find a moment of stillness. Allow your hands to face forward, palms forward, facing forward, sorry. And come back to that deep breath. On your next inhale, lifting hands to the sky. Maybe taking a slight back bend here if that feels good. Exhaling, forward fold, bending your knees generously. Hands come to the mat. Breathing in, straighten your legs. Halfway lift, hands come to shins or thighs. Breathing out, forward fold. Hands plant on the earth. Step it back to downward facing dog. Take a breath here. On your next inhale, lifting your right leg to the sky, and then stepping that through the hands, lowering the back knee, untucking those toes, or if you feel more stable, you can keep them tucked. Coming into a low lunge. And again here, you could just start to move from side to side, maybe moving around in some circles. And then planting your left hand on the floor, lifting right hand to the sky, taking an easy twist. And then bringing your right hand to the inside of that right foot, coming down into lizard. So you can stay here up on your hands, or if you have the space to do so, you can come down onto your elbows, or even you can grab those pillows again and bring the floor up to you. You continue rocking from side to side. And on your next inhale, coming back up, walking your foot towards the center, and then breathing out, bringing it back into a half split position. So you want to be flexing your front foot towards your face. Back is nice and lengthened. And then if it feels good to do so, maybe folding forward over that front leg. And again, it doesn't matter how far you get. If you're up here, that's absolutely fine. Again, you can bring some blocks or cushions either side and move the floor up to you. Just taking some deep breaths here. And on your next inhale, coming back into that low lunge. And then heel toeing the foot over to the left side of the mat, bringing the knee down to the floor and coming into pigeon pose. If you find that your right hip is really far away from the ground, you can grab one of those push cushions or a block and just pop it underneath your hip. I'll show you on the other side so you can see what it looks like. So you can just put it under like that and sit down onto it, and that kind of closes that space. And if it feels good to do so, you can start to fold forward over that front leg, maybe bringing forehead to the earth. Again, maybe swaying from side to side, finding some gentle movement. Inhale, coming back up, pushing away with your hands, tucking up under that back toe, coming to all fours, and and then pushing it back into child's pose. Big breath in, big breath out. On your next inhale, coming back to all fours, tucking both feet under and pushing it back into downward facing dog. This time lifting the left leg to the sky and stepping that forward between your hands. Lowering your back knee and untucking those toes, or keeping them tucked if that feels more stable for you. Again, just finding some free movement here, maybe swaying from side to side, maybe taking some circles through the hips. And then planting your right hand on the earth, lifting left hand to the sky. Easy twist. And then placing that left hand to the inside of the left foot. You'll come into a lizard position. So maybe moving your left foot out towards the edge of the mat a little bit more. And again, taking a swaying back and forth here, side to side. And if you have the space to do so, you can maybe come down onto the elbows. Or again, grab the cushion and come down onto that. Or you can stay on your hands, your choice. Coming back up into your hands. Heel turn the foot to the other side of the mat, to the right side of the mat, placing the knee down and coming into pigeon pose. Again, popping that cushion underneath your left hip if you need a bit more support there. If you find that you have a lot of space and your hips are up off the floor, then definitely do that. And a deep breath in and a full breath out. Exhale, maybe starting to fold over that front leg. Maybe forehead comes to the mat, or you can even make a little resting position for it with your hands. Make a little bed for your head. Wherever you are, just trying to deepen the breath. Breathing into the belly. Breathing into the hip. And on your next inhale, coming back up into your hands. Tucking under that back foot, lifting up off that front leg and coming into child's pose again. Stretching the arms out long in front of you. This time with your next inhale, looking up towards your hands. Now walk them over to the left side of the mat. And then coming back down, bring your forehead to the mat. So you should feel a really nice stretch along the right side of your body here. On your next inhale, walking your hands through center and coming over to the other side. And then coming back down, stretching out through the left side of your body. On your next inhale, coming back to center, walking your hands to your knees, and then swinging over onto your bottom. You're shuffling a little bit forward if you need to. Bring your legs out long. You can just shake them a little bit from side to side. Maybe bending your knees and then take a few windshield wipers. We stretch quite a bit through the hips, so it can feel really nice just to kind of reset. When you're feeling good with that, you can bring your left leg out long and your right foot to the inside of your left thigh. See if you can lift up your bum cheeks and to kind of move the fleshy parts to the side. And see if you can move your hips so they're facing your left foot. You want to lengthen through your spine. So imagine that you have a piece of string going from the base of your spine all the way through to the top of your head. And then just start to fold forward. And again here, you really want to prioritize a straight spine. So you don't want to be kind of rounding through the spine like this. So the idea isn't to get the head on the knee, it's to almost get the belly on the thigh. So that's what you're aiming for. And if you only get here, then that's absolutely fine. Just stay there. And over time, you can start to fold forward a little bit more and a little bit more. When you kind of find your edge, just start to breathe. And as you breathe in, see if you can lengthen the spine. And as you breathe out, maybe you can creep forward just a tiny bit more. Breathing in, lengthening. Breathing out, folding forward. Taking one more deep breath in and one more breath out, and then start to pad back up. Maybe take a few more of those windshield wipers with your knees from side to side. And then we're going to take it to the other side. So lengthening your right leg out long. Bring your left foot to the inside of your right thigh, moving the fleshy part of your bum cheeks to the side, facing your hips towards the foot, lengthening through the spine, taking a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just start to pad forward, aiming to bring your belly to your thigh. And as you breathe in, lengthen. As you breathe out, maybe creeping a little bit more further forward. And when you found your edge, just stay there and take some deep breaths. Taking one more breath here and start to pad back up. This time, we're going to bring our feet to touch. Into butterfly pose. Again here, if you want to grab a cushion and sit your hips up on that, that can feel really nice. I quite like to do it because my pelvis tends to kind of tilt me backwards. If you feel like you're falling back, it'd be a really good way to kind of get the right angle with your pelvis. So again here, you're prioritizing a straight spine, so lengthening, thinking of that string again, moving all the way through your spine. And I like to imagine there's sort of a pond in front of my toes, and you're just peering into the pond, just starting to lean forward. And if it feels good to do so, you can use your elbows to push down your knees. And again, taking some deep breaths here. Breathing into the hips, seeing if you can release any tension. And on your next exhale, you can fully fold over. If you want to round your spine here, you can. What can be really nice is to grab a cushion and just put it on your feet there. And bring your head down onto that. next inhale, coming back up, moving the cushion to the side if you have one. And then we're going to come to lie down on our backs. Bending your knees, having your feet flat on the earth. Bring your hands to your belly, and again, maybe taking some deep breaths in. And just checking with yourself. Notice if you're feeling any different now to how you were at the start of the class. Then engaging the abs, pushing your back down to the earth so you can even get a sheet of paper underneath your back. And then using that strength to lift your knees up and lift them in, hugging them into your chest, coming up into a ball. You might even want to lift up your head and touch your knees to your toes. Maybe rocking from side to side, getting a nice massage through the lower spine, lower back. And then releasing the head back down to the earth, keeping your left leg tucked into your chest. You're just going to stretch that right leg out long. You can maybe rock from side to side with that left leg, left knee. And then bringing it over to the right. So you're coming into a nice twist. And you can bring your left arm out long and face towards your left hand. And again, you can bring the cushions in here if your knee's quite far off the ground. You can use a cushion just to rest your knee on top of. And that can be really comfortable. Maybe shutting down the eyes, just taking some deep breaths into the belly, into the spine, feeling the nice release. And slowly rolling back through to the center, hugging that left knee in, and then releasing it out long. Giving your feet a bit of a wiggle side to side. And then pulling that right knee into the chest, hugging it in, maybe rocking from side to side. This pose on its own is actually called the wind relieving pose, so if you're ever needing some help in that area, this is a great one to go to. And then slowly just starting to fold over to the left, bringing that right knee down to the ground. Or again, grabbing a cushion, popping it there and popping your knee on top of that. And you can lengthen your right arm out to the sides, and maybe turn your gaze to face your right hand. You shut down the eyes here, taking some deep breaths into the belly, into the spine. And on your next inhale, coming back to center, hugging that right knee in, and then releasing it out long. I'm going to move into Shavasana now, but if there's any other poses that you want to take, if you feel like you have a bit more energy to use up and you want to move through some vinyasas, then do that. Or if you want to take a happy baby or an inversion or whatever you feel you need, listen to your body, and I invite you to do that now. Otherwise, if we come down into Shavasana, so lying on your back, just letting your feet flop to the sides, and this is where you might want to grab those socks or a jumper or a blanket even to put over you. Let yourself get nice and comfy. Allow your palms to face upwards by your sides. Just take a quick scan through the body, noticing if there's areas that you're holding on to, you still can feel tension. See if you can just let that go. For me, I often hold in my right thigh and I notice that I'm tensing it up. So just giving it permission to release and let go. Relax. I'm going to be here for about a minute or so, and I'll stop talking and I'll let you know when that minute's up. And if you want to stay here, then absolutely do that. In fact, I encourage it if you have the time to. But if you're ready to come out, maybe just starting to take some gentle movement, maybe wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, maybe taking some wrist circles, some ankle circles. You might want to take a big stretch overhead, a full body stretch, pointing the toes. That you just woken up. And then start to bend the knees, hugging them back into the chest. And then choosing a side to roll over to. And before you rush up, just stay here for a second. And then slowly start to push yourself up to a seated position. And bring one hand on top of the other at the heart. And you can notice your heartbeat, notice your breath moving into your chest. And see if you can feel a sense of gratitude for yourself for showing up today, for practicing, for your body, for moving. And from me to you, massive thank you for being here. And I hope you enjoyed. Any feedback or questions is more than welcome. Otherwise, I hope you have an amazing rest of your evening. I'm just going to stop the recording.